They say Helen of Troy's face launched 1,000 ships. Well, Nick Cage's face has inspired legions of devoted followers, as his career went from quirky and intense to eccentric and intense to batshit and intense. He gathered a following on the internet willing to play with his image and performances in an unending stream of inspired content. From internet memes to pranks, music, and fine art, Nicolas Cage has become a font, a godhead of inspiration for many.
What do you say we cut the chit-chat? A-hole!
In one word, Nicolas Cage, to me, is... Ooh, that's a tricky one. I should have gotten like a prep sheet.
One word.
Insane. Again, I'm gonna say insane just because he's nuts. Cool. I think he's cool to the touch. I don't know if he has warm blood or not. That's not like a mean thing. It's just like a reptilian human thing.
God. I'd say life.
Depressing because he just has this sort of pessimistic and sort of down and out quality to it that I'm really drawn to.
Eclectic, because you never know what you're gonna get. I think he is the most underrated American actor, and I think that people should appreciate him for what he does instead of point out the more subpar films like Wicker Man, and maybe focus on the better parts of Nicolas Cage's existence.
I would describe Nicolas Cage in one word as mellow. Mellow.
Diverse. I'll go with that one. Monumental.
I would say amazing.
Anti-caged. He's anything but caged.
Free. He seems like he's free to do whatever he wants, whether it's the roles he chooses or the castles he buys. Conflicting, I guess. I guess if I was to describe him in one word, I would describe him as conflicting.
Why? Why would that be?
Because it's people like love him and hate him, and it's this weird like he exists in this weird middle space. So yeah.
Transcendent. Volatile.
I would have to say orgasmic.
If I were Nick Cage, that would really hurt my feelings. You know, is to just have this small conversation. He's a complicated guy, you know. So no, I couldn't. I couldn't.
I would describe the actual event as a olfactory and tactile roller coaster.
I think my favorite moment of the Nicolas Cage art show was I saw a sculpture of a small man in a cage reaching out towards a pile of nickels because he was in fact stuck in a nickel-less cage.
I remember that. I actually know that one very well.
Oh, really?
It's a beautiful piece.
We're going to talk about that later.
The Nick Cage art show, I don't even know what the final tally of the pieces were, but it was huge. It could have been like a permanent installation that you could have visited twice and still not appreciated everything. The amount of people that were there crowded around some of the pieces too, you couldn't see everything. And I was very impressed by the way that really resonated with so many artists around the world, apparently, that sent in art for this. And so that was really the best, was seeing, because that I think is kind of my thing too. Take something, an inspiration, in this case Nicolas Cage, and twist it and give me something that is both familiar and something new. Give it to me back, you know, improve on it, give me the next iteration. And I think that's what that art show was. So that was very cool. Not only all the art and all the artistic statements, but all the people that came to appreciate it. And I do think that they really did appreciate it. It wasn't just like, yeah, there's another one, let's get the fuck out of here. People stayed for hours, and they discussed. And I think that that's important. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss things.
I was a little surprised too at the amount. I wasn't fully aware until I started working on this and sort of researching ideas and looks. I wasn't even aware of the explosion that is Nicolas Cage. So for me, it was a no-brainer. I guess when a friend said, "Let's make something for this art show," they're doing like a call for artists and the theme is Nicolas Cage. In my head, I think, why? I was kind of, the first thing in my head was, well, what am I gonna do? It really was, there was no. It was gonna happen. So that, it's playful and I had a blast every moment I was working on this, which is great. He's just as diverse as everything that's around you right now tonight.
The reason that this show is here is because it's just absurd. I love absurd things. That why not dedicate your massive work of art to Nick Cage? Why not dedicate an hour of your life? I mean, he entertains us. Why not entertain him back? Like, I hope that he gets to see all these things. It is an infinity box, light box. I don't really know. There's a bunch of names. I like DIY stuff, making things on your own. And I knew that I needed a reason to make this and to splurge and spend to get the supplies. And then I heard about the Nick Cage art show, and I couldn't think of a better reason to honor Mr. Cage. If I made him happy, I think that would be the perfect gift back to him. I mean, he's done the craziest things ever on film forever for us to see, and why not pay him back a little bit?
First of all, this show, I was like, all right, am I going to try and go deep with this, or am I going to go ridiculous? Like, you can kind of do both. And then I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to, how has he touched me? Like, what movies have I enjoyed of his? And I actually wanted to pay homage to how he's actually inspired me. Like, those movies really, each time I watch them, I'm like, these are fucking awesome. These are amazing. They inspire me, and I'm in the film industry, so every movie that I actually like, I figure, regardless of who it is, I want to pay homage to that. And this is the first show I've been able to do where there's a celebrity specifically where you can either choose to go deep or go nuts.
I consider all of our shows to be Nick Cage themed events, but that was the only sanctioned one that we played.
I would consider my whole life in its entirety to be a Nick Cage themed event.
When it comes right down to it, there is no right man for the job when it comes to playing a Nicolas Cage art show. All you can hope to do is encompass some of the men that Nicolas Cage has played. When you take the entirety of Nicolas Cage, he's really a collection of hundreds and hundreds of equally virile men.
Exactly, and that is why when we did play the show, we had to both mentally and physically become Nicolas Cage.
In my work, I like the idea of things that shift. So I want to have an artwork that has the same shifting qualities a human personality does. The scene is really the main inspiration. The scene has such a sort of classical composition, so I was inspired by it. It caught my eye when I first saw it in the film. Nicolas Cage's character in Vampire's Kiss, Peter Lowe, he goes through his transformation where he thinks he's becoming a vampire, but he isn't, and I think that's just a great idea.
I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire!
My admiration for Nicolas Cage comes down to his commitment to quantity over quality, and I actually mean that with genuine admiration. He's done some truly amazing films and some amazing performances, and then has followed them up with some films that are frankly bizarre and you don't know why he's there, and some characters where you can't figure out why he's that character. And taken any one piece, you'd be describing radically different people. But taken together, He's somebody who genuinely wants to play every part in every movie. And I actually love that about him.
How many movies does that guy make a year? It's almost like he doesn't care. He's just like, you want me in a movie? I'll be in it. And I think that's like, there's something to that. There's something to that, you know? It's like he's a contractor. Contractor can't turn down a job. He needs to like feed his family. He needs to pay his bills, you know? And so he's not one of these guys that's just like, I'm going to only pick the good roles. He's like, you want me, I'll do it. And I think that there's like, that's real. I think that's real.
All right, listen. This one is a career ender. You play a guy who can communicate with dolphins and uses this power to hunt them.
Yes.
It's a silent movie.
Yes.
There's a scene in it where you have real, actual sex with a puppy.
Yes, yes, yes.
And it's not going to be shot on film, it's going to be shot on fruit by the foot.
Yes, 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 yes.
Nicholas, I'm making this one up. I'm making it up. You can't say yes to it because it doesn't exist.
He's also a terrific decision maker. I feel that his acting choices are, they just are riddled with unerring majesty, I would say.
I don't think he's bad. I think he's just Nick Cage. And I think to a degree, that's why people like to see him, is because they can always see him. And they can see him try. Versus other people where you're like, wow, he got totally lost in the character. Like, wow, I couldn't, that was him underneath, you know, all that makeup and wow, you know. But you're always acutely aware of a movie's, what it's going to be about if Nick Cage is in it. And I think that keeps people coming back because they like to see the human element to him. But at the same time, I am a little worried because a lot of people like to make fun of him too. And it's like, well, how are you going to make fun of the human element of him? You know? If you want to make fun of a public figure, well, that's one thing. But you're not making fun of Nick Cage as the public, as the actor, as the movie star. You're almost mocking the man. And I have a problem with that. Because he works hard. Nick Cage works hard. You know?
He does.
I don't think he falls in highbrow or lowbrow. I don't think you can label the entity that is Nicolas Cage. I feel like he is most likely the most influential male figure in the United States of America currently, and it has been for the last 20 years, I'd say.
Respectfully, I disagree on some of that. I think he has dominated both high and low brow, while leaving the middle largely intact. It's really just brow.
It's medium brow.
You've seen him in interviews where he doesn't, you get the impression that it makes him very uncomfortable. All this attention, where he's like, I know you guys just ironically like me, and how would you want to be in that position? And like, so I think we could be like, no, we don't ironically like you. We are celebrating you. You are an artist. You are a working man. And then be like, and we'll respectfully leave you alone for a little while. Because, and that's not to say like, we can't talk about him, we can't make more art about him, but let's not just conflate him like, he's so terrible. You know, like, yeah, you love this guy, he's so terrible. I think we need to move past that energy, and I think that this art show was a great way to kind of do that. To be like a positive celebration as opposed to another joke, you know?
I discovered Nicolas Cage raising Arizona. It was kind of wild. It was like a guy like was going through a lot of bad things, you know, and baby get tossed in his lap, and you know he trying to save the baby, and it's like, oh my God, like this dude having ghetto problems, you know what I'm saying? And wow, I could relate, you know what I'm saying? But it was so wild and it was funny, you know what I'm saying? Like raising Arizona is one of them, like I said, that was my start for him, and I never stopped liking him. I have been studying my history, and it leads back to an Egyptian culture, right? But the face of it has been knocked out, the nose, lips, and stuff like that. But Nicolas Cage on Face Off is one of my best movies ever did. Like, I remember Raising Sun all the way up, but Face Off, and I had a theme that I had to kind of come together and blend it together, and basically I used that to reface it. So it's actually the picture when his face was off and he was looking in the glass, and the guy with the eye was shocked to see his face, and he was like, with the secret, like, I want my face, you know. So, but this the ghost light, and he, you know, he illuminated from the fire. So basically, he refacing the Sphinx. So that's pretty much what
his face, oh. The eyes, nose, skin, it's coming off.
There's a voice inside of everybody that says, like, well, hey, Face Off is better than you. You can't make anything better than Face Off. But don't listen to that voice, because they missed something. They missed something, and you could be the person that knows how to fix Face Off. Or you could be the person that could be inspired by that movie and come up with something even better. Whether it's a movie, whether it's a painting, art piece, a dirt piece, you know, a new spell, a new tome, you know. I decided to write songs about movies because oftentimes when I have my quiet times, they'll put the Netflix on and just set things up for me. And so it became a thing that I had to do, to watch these movies. And it also became an escape for me to watch these movies because I could get away from everything else, you know, and just zone out and watch the movies. But I don't want to be a consumer. I don't want to just take, and I don't want to just absorb the bullshit, because a lot of movies are propaganda and bullshit, you know? And there's junk, a lot of junk, and you gotta dig in there to get the good stuff, get to the truth of it. It just has to hit me on a certain level, or maybe there'll be a line in the movie that will stick with me for weeks. Something somebody says, or a look that somebody gives, or even the design of something that resonates with me. I didn't want to just consume these movies and watch them and just, like, not do anything. And so by writing about them, we take something that was already art, low art, and we turn it into a different form of low art. And then we elevate the low art, we combine the two low arts together to make a higher art. And that art is the Starbeast II experiment.
Deep down, I just think he's a great actor. And just kind of a deliciously perfect father figure for any little lady or little boy.
You're gonna be fine, baby doll.
You're not really touching only on the actor, you're touching on the fact that they've been an icon in your past. That was like just like a song, like it becomes a lullaby for you. And I think those kind of things, they make you feel safe, but they also inspire you. And so I think that could be the thing about using celebrities for this. Nick Cage, there was a Bill Murray one coming up soon. I definitely have lullabies associated with Bill Murray as well. Where if somebody were to ask me to do that show, I'd be like, not only could I think of something, but I'm pulling a beautiful memory that's true and honest, like along with it, because there's this rich history with not just American culture, but I think the world. I mean, these aren't just local movie stars; they're global.
I'm surprised to see that cohesive, that thread between us all, that something coming out of sort of the Nicolas Cage oeuvre, or his artistic production, was able to lend to all of our artistic productivity. So, you know, you think about that, and then you go around to some of these pieces, you see the same themes appearing, even if it's a little different twist on it, and it's wild to see how connected we are, even though we're working separately in studios. So that's cool to see the connection between these individuals. You know, and Nicolas Cage is playing a part in that. Nice.
I absolutely feel a connection with the other artists here. It's something that we all have decided to just leap into, not knowing anyone else here, not knowing what this even is. This is the first time it's happened in Los Angeles, so I don't know. I haven't been to anything like this before in my life, so it's great to just see other people who are as crazy as I am. To come here and see the other artists that are inspired by Nicolas Cage is fantastic. I didn't know what to expect. I don't know if I purposely didn't look ahead of time at like the hashtag Nick Cage Party. This like blew my mind. I don't know. I saw like Indian goddess Nicolas Cage, the Sailor Moon Nick Cage. They're the coolest things ever. Like I left my wallet at home because I cannot buy all these things, but I want to. So
when people can come together just like we have and embrace whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's magic or dirt or finance, but not finance. Plane design. You know, we used to have a roommate here that was really into planes.
He made planes.
He just built planes in the backyard. And that's, I think, you know, partially what we've all tried to explore here is don't deny the instincts. When you get that feeling of this is the one, you have to go for it. And don't second guess yourself. Don't second guess why that. Don't even think about what you're going to do, just do it. Find that inside and let it find other like-minded individuals, which is the benefit of the internet. We can find these other people, but then let's make it happen in the real world.
Even amongst the laughs, the Nick Cage fandom has gone past superficialities into a permanent and genuine admiration. He works hard, he shouts because he wants to be heard, and he's certainly flawed. But despite the shortcomings, or arguably because of them, Nick Cage is undeniably stunning.
Can I take this for granted? With your